He was asleep, but I found the truth that night. The house was still, wrapped in the heavy silence that only comes in the middle of the night. Every creak of the wooden floor beneath my feet sounded louder than it should have, like the house itself was warning me to stop. But I couldn't. Something had changed. I could feel it. The hallway was dim, lit only by the faint blue glow from a street lamp leaking through the curtains. His door was cracked open. A soft rhythm of breathing drifted out, slow and deep. He was asleep. I shouldn't have looked. I told myself I'd just make sure everything was okay, that I'd leave the second I realized I was crossing a line. But my hand pushed the door open anyway, almost on its own. There was a kind of gravity pulling me in, something unspoken, something I didn't yet understand. And what I saw in that room, what I felt, changed everything. Not just because of what I discovered, but because of what it woke up inside me. I still remember how the air in that house always felt a little too still, not cold, but distant, like the walls held memories no one wanted to speak about. I'd been staying there for only a week, just until I figured things out with my job, my life, my next move. But something about being in his space brought back a strange kind of comfort I didn't know I'd been missing. He wasn't my real uncle, just a close family friend who'd been around for as long as I could remember. Calm, quiet, mysterious in that way where you never quite knew what he was thinking. He always looked at people like he could see through them, but he never pried, never judged. And that made him even more dangerous in a way I couldn't explain. During the day, we barely spoke more than a few words. He worked in his study, and I wandered around, trying to get my thoughts in order. I was dealing with a recent breakup that left me hollow, confused, and fragile. The kind of emotional fog that makes you question everything about who you are and what you want. But at night, when the house fell silent, that's when the tension crept in. There were glances I thought I imagined, accidental touches in narrow hallways. His voice when he asked how I'd slept, deeper, slower, like the words carried more weight than they should. And maybe I was reading too much into everything. Maybe I was just lonely. But some part of me knew something between us had shifted. One evening I caught a glimpse of him standing by the window shirtless, just a towel around his waist. The moonlight framed his silhouette, and I froze, unable to look away. My heart raced, not from shock, but from something I didn't want to name. He didn't see me watching. Or maybe he did. He didn't move. He didn't speak. He just stood there, letting me look. And after that night, everything changed. Suddenly, the silence between us wasn't empty. It was electric. Every word he said carried a layer of meaning beneath the surface. Every glance felt like a question I didn't yet have the courage to answer. It wasn't just about attraction. It was something deeper, more dangerous. A line neither of us had spoken about, but both of us were walking toward. The days passed slowly, and each one added a layer of tension neither of us addressed. It was like we were speaking a second language, one made of silences, half smiles, the way his hand would rest a little too long near mine, and the way my breath caught when he was near. I told myself it was nothing. I was just vulnerable. He was just kind. But the truth was, I was craving something, connection, validation, even danger. And I could feel it growing between us like a flame we refused to acknowledge. One afternoon, it rained. Heavy, relentless. I stayed curled up on the couch, a book in my lap I wasn't reading. He entered the room with a quiet, casual confidence, holding 2 mugs of coffee. "You look lost," he said softly, handing me one. "Just thinking too much," I replied, meeting his eyes. "Thinking's dangerous when you're hurting," he said, sitting across from me. That was the first time he spoke about my pain, not directly, but it was there, in the way he looked at me. And I wanted to speak, to tell him about the emptiness I'd been carrying since my last relationship, the way I kept replaying conversations, mistakes, moments of silence that now felt loaded with everything unsaid. Instead, I said nothing. I sipped the coffee and looked away. But that night, I couldn't sleep. I tossed in bed, the storm outside mirroring the storm in me. I walked to the kitchen to clear my head, barefoot, wearing only a long t-shirt. I didn't expect to find him there, in the dim light, leaning on the counter, shirtless again, a glass of wine in hand. "Couldn't sleep either?" he asked. I shook my head. "Storm's too loud." He smiled, slow and calm. "Sometimes the noise helps." I took a step forward, unsure of what I was doing. "Or it drowns out what we're really thinking." His eyes met mine, and for a moment neither of us looked away. "You should go back to bed," he said gently. "Maybe I don't want to be alone," I whispered. That was the first real moment, the one we couldn't undo. He set the glass down, slowly walked toward me, close enough that I could feel the warmth radiating from his skin, close enough that the tension broke something in me. He raised a hand and gently tucked a loose strand of hair behind my ear. His fingers grazed my cheek, and I leaned into the touch without thinking. And then he kissed me. Soft at first, careful, testing the line we both knew we were crossing. But the moment I kissed him back, everything else disappeared. The doubts, the logic, the shouldn't and can't. They melted under the weight of want. He lifted me effortlessly onto the counter, his hands exploring slowly, reverently. It wasn't just about desire, it was about being seen, being wanted, being understood without explanation. We moved together with quiet intensity. Every kiss was a question, every touch an answer. And in that moment, I stopped feeling lost. The air between us was thick with tension, electric, undeniable, alive. But it wasn't just lust. It was something deeper, unspoken, raw. His fingers traced the edge of my jawline as if memorizing it. His breath was warm against my skin, and my heart pounded so loudly I thought he could hear it. We didn't rush. Every movement was slow, intentional, like we were trying to make time bend for us, like we knew that after this moment nothing would be the same. "I've wanted to touch you like this for days," he murmured, voice low and hoarse. "But I didn't know if I should." "You shouldn't," I breathed back, my eyes locked on his. "But that doesn't change anything, does it?" He shook his head slowly. "Number, it doesn't." And then he kissed me again. Not with restraint, not gently, but with a hunger that had clearly been growing inside him too. It wasn't desperate, but it was honest. Honest in the way his hands gripped my waist, in the way he lifted me effortlessly, as if my body belonged to him in this moment, and he was claiming it not just with want, but with care. Clothes fell away, piece by piece, like petals drifting to the ground. The rhythm between us built gradually, naturally, as if we had done this 1,000 times in another life. We didn't need to speak. Our bodies said everything. There was a moment, halfway through, when he just looked at me, really looked, and something in his eyes changed, like he saw all of me, the broken parts, the scars, the loneliness I carried like armor. And in that look, I felt safe, seen. His touch softened, slowed. "This isn't just about tonight," he whispered. "You know that, don't you?" I nodded, unsure of what it meant, but certain it was true. When we reached that final moment, when every sensation blurred and the world fell away, it wasn't just pleasure. It was release, a breaking, a surrender. I let go of the weight I didn't know I was carrying, and for the first time in a long time, I felt whole. The room was silent, save for the soft hum of the night beyond the window. Our breathing, still unsteady, slowly returned to rhythm. He lay beside me, one arm resting gently across my waist, as if to anchor me to a reality I hadn't quite processed yet. We didn't speak right away. Maybe we were afraid to break the fragile stillness. Maybe words weren't ready. But inside, everything had shifted. I stared at the ceiling, tracing the memory of his touch in my mind. It was more than sex. It was more than desire. It was something I couldn't explain, like we had stepped into a hidden part of ourselves, and now nothing felt the same. He eventually broke the silence. "Are you okay?" I turned my head toward him. His face was open, searching, vulnerable. "I don't know," I said honestly, "but I don't regret it." His hand found mine under the sheets. Neither do I. For a long time we just lay there. There was a peace to it. Strange, considering the weight of what we'd done. But there was no shame between us, only understanding. A kind of unspoken truth that maybe this connection, however brief or complicated, had meaning. The morning would come. The real world would return. There would be questions we'd avoid, choices we'd have to face. But in that moment, none of it mattered. Later, when I walked out of the room, everything around me felt different, brighter somehow, like I had been carrying something inside me for too long, an ache, a silence, and he had helped me release it. It wasn't love, not exactly, but it was something just as important. It was clarity, and maybe that's what I had needed all along. Sometimes the most unexpected nights reveal the truths we spend years hiding from ourselves. It wasn't about right or wrong. It wasn't about labels, guilt, or the stories others would tell if they knew. It was about a moment, raw, unfiltered, real. And in that moment, I saw myself, not who I had been, not who others thought I was, but who I truly was beneath the silence. That night didn't fix everything, but it changed something, and that was enough.